today I am watching Peaky Blinders Season 4, Episode 2. The end of the last episode was pretty intense with John and Michael being shot at. I don't have high hopes for John. Michael might make it. I guess we will find out. We were also introduced to a new character, Adrien Brody, and this Italian mafia from New York. And the Shelby family all received this card with the black-handed in the mail, which obviously is going to spell disaster, but I'm very curious to see what this episode is going to be about. I'm really enjoying the series so far, so thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for TV shows you think I should watch, please comment below. And if you want to have a say in what movies or TV shows I watch, be sure to join Patreon. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. Right, they wanted to head back to Small Heath in Birmingham where they had started off. It's definitely interesting to see them kind of come full circle and start back off where they, or end up where they started. And anyway, I told the truth, and I'm not okay, a different theme song. Oh, John. The truth, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Very revenge-themed song, obviously. Oh, gosh. Please! It's alright, Mark. It's alright, Mark. I went to it's alright, Mark. Yeah, they're only bringing in Michael. I'm assuming John didn't make it. Oh, gosh.
Do the job, alright? Let him do the job. I'll get soldiers. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Polly, like, how much can one person take, honestly? Oh, my gosh. And Arthur and John were so close. Oh, my heart. Poor Arthur.
We promised, Arthur.
Oh, God.
In the bleak bit, that's what they said before, too. Is that from, like, a poem or a prayer or something?
Come here, brother.
I think this might be what pushes Arthur back into, like, 110% back into the Peaky Blinders.
No peace for either of you. Ever.
Yeah, even though Esme and John had an arranged marriage, basically, I think she really cared about him, so, heartbreaking. Oh my gosh. And yeah, she's like, no peace for either of you, like, whatever curse she knows. Bye, John. Okay, Arthur got his haircut. I was saying, like, he had long hair before, and they always do these really clever, subtle ways to separate Arthur from the Peaky Blinders, but I think that haircut says, I'm back in, they took my brother, and I feel like Arthur and John were particularly close because Tommy always sent them to do things for him. Like, those together always, they were the henchmen.
These men will not leave our city until the whole family is dead. That's how it works, an eye for an eye.
Yeah, that's what the song says.
The bullet's been written. It says Luca.
Yeah, and John died for when Arthur pulled the trigger. Like, Arthur's the one who killed that guy.
There's been some bad blood between us.
You think?
That here today in this room, we have to agree to end this war between us.
That's a bold ask from someone who started the war.
Arthur, let him have his say. Finn, sit at the table.
Finn's moving on up. Oh my. Part of me wonders if Tommy orchestrated this whole thing just to get his family back together. I know that's insane, but I don't know. Like, he's done some crazy things, so please no spoilers, but like, that's... I trust no one in this show. Maybe Polly, but like everybody else, no. So I wouldn't put past Tommy to put everybody's lives at risk just to get what he wants.
More ammo. You got covers to Charlie's done.
Quite the system they've got set up here. I would also trust Curly, for the record.
Jeremiah said we should sing in the bleak midwinter.
Oh, okay, it's a song. Or a prayer song.
Remember that God spared you. But what did you do with that extra time that he gave you, Thomas?
Yeah, she's not wrong. Yeah, he survives, you know, this incredibly horrible World War and then comes home and dies like 6 years later. Yeah, that's why I feel like John was like a little bit overconfident when he was approaching those guys. I mean, I know he was defending his home, but he just didn't seem scared at all. And maybe because he'd already made his peace with death, maybe that's it. Just especially from surviving a war and being in so many dangerous situations with the gang as well. Like, Michael seemed scared, but John was just like, oh, I have my gun. I'll just go up there. No big deal. And then obviously he gets killed. Oh my god. Yeah. Man, the assassinations on Tommy this season are just insane. Oh god, he's really going for it. Oh!
Down! The men doing the firing are on our side.
Yeah, he's like, let's do this out in the open, but they knew they'd be attacked, so they have, you know, people watching out for them. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they have a lot of enemies.
Put it out in the open on purpose.
He wanted to draw them out.
John's funeral fire is a f***ing beacon.
What a jerk.
Tried to make a f***ing name for themselves, that's it.
We got word to them about the funeral.
Yeah, he set it up. He told the Italians, hey, we're going to be having this funeral. If you want to stop by.
They take one of ours. We take two of theirs.
Until when? Until when does, like, the bloodlust end?
When did we vote on this, Tommy?
You don't get a vote anymore. That stopped a long time ago.
For anyone who wants no more part of this, because this is how it's gonna be.
So much for making peace there, bud. It's not peace if it's a dictatorship.
I'm not staying for this, Arthur. I'm going home.
Oh yeah?
He just set all of you up like what, like little ducks to get taken out one by one.
Doors. You wait for me.
Tommy set up John to get married for his own benefit.
Shelby will leave this place is on a cloud of smoke like John.
Well, you're a Shelby now too, Linda.
Yeah, he used John's funeral to draw out these enemies and just put his whole family at risk. But again, it's nothing new. We've seen that so many times before. Tommy doesn't care. Like, something could have gone horribly wrong. Like, what if those guys had been 10 seconds later and they would have shot him?
Like a football. What else did he say?
He said you took 4 bullets.
Oh my god, I didn't think it's that many.
He was alive.
Oh, okay.
One was ricochet.
Because John took them. Oh, because John was standing in front of him. Oh my gosh.
Made a decision.
Give me a cigarette, Mum.
He wants to go to Australia.
We're gonna get away.
Yeah?
Just me and you. Australia.
That's where her daughter was. Oh man.
That's at the factory's come back to work
Just
tomorrow.
forget the f***ing factories.
Is there any word of them going out on strike?
All he's talking about is business, and Paulie's like, focus on getting better right now. Like, it's okay, you can take a rest.
And I promise. I bought that try with you and we got to Australia.
I don't believe that. And he's giving her false hope, which is very cruel. Oh man.
It's not for sale.
Not for sale.
This actor, I know his name is escaping, but I've definitely seen him in other things.
Going to what?
If it's heads, Abby here takes all of this.
Ah.
And if it's tails, I f your daughter, Mr. Gold.
Oh my.
Meralda is the oldest and also the prettiest. So I'll have her to make her part of the deal.
I was like, Charlie, come on, you're turning in Charlie's like family legacy.
Yeah. Toss the coin, Mr. Gold.
Toss a coin to your Peaky Blinders. Oh.
Please don't believe this is a joke. The coin to us is sacred. Yes, Arthur?
Sacred.
Yeah, Tommy doesn't make jokes. He's not a funny guy.
That the terms of this agreement, wager, are fulfilled.
Is he gonna risk his daughter's virtue for a shop at the docks?
No wager today. But with this penny, I will buy a flower to put on your grave.
All right, just starting wars left, right, and center. Here we go.
Small Heath ever again.
Temporary, Polly.
Yeah, until hell freezes over.
Yeah, they don't seem happy to be back, that's for sure. I think they quite enjoyed their secluded country life.
You're dead already.
There's nothing to lose.
You're free.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if she actually feels that way.
Just money. I see things in the air around people. It's not just the tablets.
Their auras.
Real. Ask him what he really wants.
Yeah, I wonder if Polly actually feels that way, or if she's just mad again that obviously Michael is in danger and hurt and she's possibly losing her son. So she's like, I'm just gonna tell Tommy whatever he needs to say, but I don't know. I feel like out of most of the people in this, Polly lies the least. So maybe she does feel that way. I feel like that was a very traumatizing experience to be in that noose, so...
Nothing you see is for sale, Mr. Shelby.
I want to say he was in like Harry Potter. There was tons of British actors in that, but that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Bonnie, take off your shirt.
Oh my, where's this going?
Gamble on him. I want you to help my son achieve his ambition.
He wants to become a boxer? That's his ulterior motive? Yeah, it's definitely weird to see them back here. Like, I feel like we've been gone for so long. It's a little, like, nostalgic, just like it's reminding me of, like, seasons 1 and 2. But, yeah, they've come so far, and I always love this setting, though. I feel like the city is a character in itself, so it's definitely nice to see them back, even if it's only temporary.
Ada Shelby's now firmly back in place in the family business.
Thing is, you get a mark against your name.
Yeah, we haven't seen Ada involved much with the Bolsheviks and stuff still. Maybe she is. We just haven't heard about it. But, yeah, like you said, like, once they suspect you of doing something, it's hard to change their mind.
Hello, Curly.
Hello.
I'm here to collect Mr. Shelby's horse. I'm a little...
Oh, May is back? Okay, hello.
Horse to race.
Yes.
Don't use the crop. She's very gentle.
Aww.
I won't.
Go.
I love Curly.
How is Mr. Shelby?
Well, now he's got the Americans after him. He's a bit hard on people.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, by the way, the revolution's scheduled to begin at noon.
It's always good to be punctual, you know, even for revolutions.
I'm an heavyweight. He's a welterweight at best.
Nevertheless, he wants to fight you.
Why? Is he have a death wish? Like, why does he want to fight this guy?
The blinders will take my eyes.
Probably.
Billy, it's just a fight. Queensbury rules.
When?
Now!
Where?
Oh, that's why he wanted the rope and the bell. There you go, makeshift boxing ring.
Place to wager with me.
Yeah, Arthur's back to, you know, taking bets and fights. Yeah, I'm very curious. These two are obviously in very different weight classes, so... Unless this kid is knows something we don't know. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter if you're bigger. If you're faster, then you can get him. Yeah.
You drink?
Porter, sometimes.
How many fights?
25, bare knuckle, all knockouts.
Oh, God.
Against Romany fighters.
That's why they won't let us in the fairs no more. He keeps winning.
I could fight a fucking tree and knock it out, Mr.
Oh, my.
I like it.
Mrs. Eden's waiting upstairs.
All right, I'll be there in a minute. Arthur?
So they're hoping they'll take this kid under their wing and, like, just, you know, make the money by knowing that he'll win every fight that you put him in, I guess.
Actually, I'm Miss Eden.
Be patient. A good man will come.
God forbid she stay unmarried. But,
Peaky Blinders now, son.
just like that. Oh, I feel like this is a bad idea.
My factory's out on strike.
Yes.
So you called your bluff? Ha! The lighting in the show is just like, oh, amazing. I'll never get tired of talking about it. So well done. And like just like the natural light coming in from the windows and having all the practical lights above the table. It's like, okay. She blew her whistle. Use your strike, Tommy. Yeah, and she's like, oh, there's a new wind coming in from the east, which I'm assuming she was referring to Russia, and the The Bolsheviks, yeah. Now what, Tommy? What's your play? It wasn't a bluff after all.
Given what circumstances, send him in.
Tommy's like, yeah, everything's normal, no big deal. You know, it's not like the factory's empty and everybody walked out. Let's just continue like it's a normal day. And I love how they give these like really wide shots, like this whole table and just an empty table, obviously, as well. And he's in this alone. Oh!
Paz from Paris.
Is it though? Because I don't think so.
You just came from Paris, eh?
I don't trust it.
You know Paris? I left Paris in a cattle truck.
I haven't seen The Godfather, but he just reminded me of like the shot from The Godfather right there.
I came here from Paris. That does not mean I'm French.
Well, that's true. He's insulting his clothing now.
Needle and thread. Mr. Changretta.
He's like, I know exactly who you are.
Ross. He found your gun.
And took out the bullets. Oh, shoot. Has Tommy met his match? Has he met someone who's 2 steps ahead of him? Son of a Peaky Blinders.
Michael Gray.
Yeah, he's like counting out their names. A bullet for all of them.
Tommy Shelby.
Tommy's like, I've had my name on bullets before. Ah, this is gonna be a showdown.
But you see, I want you to be the last.
Gonna make him watch everybody else die.
Instead of sending you a black hand, I could have had you killed in the night.
That's true, we didn't have to give them a warning.
Get out there.
Oh man, this is gonna be a showdown for the ages, I can tell. Oh man. If I was Tommy, I'd be I'd be very intimidated. This guy is scary. Oh. Arthur. My heart.
Arthur. They're just gone. Gone.
I don't think that's helping. So that was my first time watching Peaky Blinders Season 4, Episode 2. Unfortunately, I was right in my prediction. John did die. He didn't make it. And it's just so heartbreaking. This family has seen so much loss already. And now John, unfortunately, is just added to that list. Michael is in the hospital recovering, but it seems like he's going to be okay. And from him talking to Polly, we found out that Michael probably would have died as well, but it looks like John absorbed most of those bullets and Michael was able to, it says only 1 bullet hit him, but like 4 were heading in his direction basically. And thinking back on that scene, Michael was kind of standing right behind John, so that would make sense, but it's just, the fact that somebody is taking a bullet for you is just so hard to think about. Michael's telling Polly, okay, like, we'll finish this, I'll get better, and then we'll go to Australia. I don't believe that for a minute. I think that Michael is just telling Polly what she wants to hear because she's obviously very concerned about her son, and I think Michael is getting annoyed with her being protective of him, and he thinks he knows what's best, and his main concern is what's going on with Tommy, what's happening with Tommy, what's going on with the business. And Polly said she wouldn't even let Tommy come see him, and I'm sure that annoyed him because Tommy is somebody he looks up to and idolizes and wants to be just like, and I'm sure Michael would love to have a visit from Tommy, but that didn't happen, or at least not in this episode. Maybe we'll see what happens. Finn sounds like he's getting more involved. Tommy asked him to take a seat at the table when everybody was, asked to give their input on whether they were finally going to have peace within the family, and we'll see how long that lasts. And it felt a little bit like maybe Finn was trying to take John's place, and he's, he's taking his seat at the table now. I don't know how old Finn would be at this point. He's got to be a late teenager, maybe 17, 18, something like that, and maybe now Tommy wants to get him more involved, and even Arthur kind of, grabs the back of his head and is like, oh yeah, no, young men going off to fight men's battles. And it was just heartbreaking because if it's going to be Arthur and Finn now instead of Arthur and John. I feel like Arthur's worried that Finn is going to meet the same fate as John did. And especially now that Arthur has a son of his own, I feel like that's changed his perspective. And Arthur and John were so close. I feel like John's death would have affected Arthur the most because they were so close. It was always the two of them going off. You know, Tommy was the ringleader and he was saying, John and Arthur, go do this. John and Arthur, go do this. John and Arthur, go do this. And the fact that John died because of something that Arthur did. Like Tommy, Arthur, and John were all involved in that, but Arthur's the one who pulled the trigger and actually killed this Italian dad, and the fact that John's the one who paid the price for that. I mean, it would have been Arthur maybe eventually, and who knows what would have happened, but the fact that John is the one who passed away because of this in retaliation, I don't know. I can't even imagine how Arthur is feeling. That just must be so awful. At the start of the episode, we see Arthur with his long hair, and I've noticed throughout the show there's subtle ways that they separate Arthur from the rest of the family. Like, he wears a bow tie instead of like a long tie, or he does something different. Like, it's just very subtle. Or even like the where he walks and or sits in the car and stuff like that. And he had his long hair as opposed to the typical Peaky Blinders haircut that we've seen him had for the majority of the series. And then as soon as John dies, he goes back to his Peaky Blinders haircut, and I think that was maybe his way of saying like, hey, I'm out, like I'm growing my hair out now, and I'm, you know, living with Linda, we have our little farm, we're doing our thing. And as soon as John dies, he's 110% back in, and it's just like, you know what, like I have to be back in this now, like I have to, you know, get my hair cut and start becoming a full-fledged member of Peaky Blinders again, as opposed to him being kind of on the fringes. I think Esme has taken the kids and left with the Lee family, so I don't know if they'll ever come back. She definitely put a curse, or tried to put a curse, on the Shelby family, definitely Tommy, and we'll see if anything comes to that. We know Tommy still believes very strongly in curses, so yeah, I'm very curious to see what will happen, but Esme wants nothing to do with them. She wants to get completely away from this. Like I said, whether her anger leads her to retaliate at some point, I guess we will find out. But she took John's jewelry. She is like, I'm getting out of here. We're done. I didn't want to be involved, basically. She's like, I wanted nothing to do with this for a long time, and now I'm definitely out. Like, John was her only connection to this, and now that he's gone, she's like, why would I stick around? Like, I don't want to be involved in this. We saw Arthur get back into the boxing ring, and Mr. Gold, this new character coming into play as well, who served as protection at John's funeral. This young kid that is hanging out with Mr. Gold wants to get more involved in boxing, and it was definitely a bit of a throwback, it felt like, this episode, with, you know, Arthur being back in the ring and then being in Small Heath again, and Tommy and Arthur kind of conspiring of how they can use this kid to their own advantage, and they're like, well, we can make money off of him, you know, we can take him to New York, and we could take him all across the country, and people will bet against him because he doesn't look like he's very strong. And even when they set him up against this heavyweight champion who's now working in the factory, and this kid still wins, they know that this is kind of a cash cow, and I feel like they're gonna take advantage of that. And that seems to be what Mr. Gold's ulterior motives were. Whether he has more, you know, cards to show, we will find out. Polly was saying like, hey, I can see something around people. My interpretation of that is that she can see people's auras or colors around people, however you want to interpret that, but that's kind of what I was getting from it. And she said he's hiding something. Like, she's like, I have a good intuition, like, trust me when I say this, like, he's hiding something. And then he's like, oh, this kid can box. I feel like Mr. Gold looks out for himself, and the fact that he was trying to buy up Charlie's spot at the docks, and he's like, it's not for sale, and he was just very, you know, persistent. It didn't really seem to care, and was just coming into Tommy's backyard, basically, and was trying to take things away from him. Tommy was obviously not having any of that, so I feel like Mr. Gold will want some of the money from this fighting, or try and use this against Tommy. I have no idea, but I don't trust him at all, and I feel like his intentions, we don't know his true intentions yet. I feel like this might be a front. He's like, I'll show you this, but I still have 7 other cards that I haven't yet to place. And that actor, I know his name is on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember, but I really enjoy his performance, so I'll have to look him up now that I finished watching it. It's no surprise to me that Tommy set up his whole family, which we've seen numerous times at this funeral for John. And he's like, you know what, John wanted to have this funeral. This is how he wanted to go. And we find out more about their World War I history as well. When they thought that they were all done for, they thought they were at the end of the line, and they kind of made a deal with themselves and with God, or whoever you want to believe or not believe, but they made a deal that they were all on borrowed time, basically. And he's like, this is all extra, like we should have died out there. The fact that we didn't, and we hear them saying this prayer, comment below, I don't know if it's from a song or if it's just part of the show, but he's like, in the bleak midwinter. That's, I'm assuming, a line from this prayer song. And we heard that line in the previous episode as well, so that was kind of their code to each other, like, hey, remember, like, we should have been dead, you know, we fought on this horrific war, we should have died on those fields in France, and the fact that we're still here, like, this is just extra. And even Polly kind of throws that in Tommy's face and is like, well, what did you do with that extra time? Like, you made it home okay, and your brothers made it home okay, and you used this borrowed time to kill other people and to, you know, start these illegal gambling rings and to just do all these things that maybe that time would have been served better in a different way. But yeah, it was just interesting that that's how they'd been basically going around living their lives, saying, like, you know what, yeah, we're on borrowed time, like, it doesn't matter, we're free. And that's even how Polly views herself. She's like, once my head was in that noose, I thought I was done for. So she's like, now I'm free, basically. Now I'm living an extra time. And this is just, you know, she's now at that place. She had this horrible experience, and it wasn't a world war, but I think it was horrifying and traumatizing enough that she now feels like she cheated death in some way, like she should have died there. So now it's just all extra time. She's like, now I feel free, and maybe she's going to start being more bold with her choices. And she's getting more involved with the Shelby family schemes again, which Tommy seems to be grateful for. Whether he actually takes her advices or not, I guess we will see. But I feel like with everybody being so scattered before, I feel like he might appreciate a little bit more. Again, we will find out. May was back in this episode only for a brief scene, and she went to pick up this horse, and then she also discovers from Curly that this New York mob is after Tommy. So I don't know if she will be back in another episode or what that'll look like, but it was definitely interesting to see her character back. Alfie wasn't mentioned or brought back in this episode. I feel like Tommy has been so lucky for so long, and not in everything. Obviously, he's faced tragedy as well, but the fact that he sets up his own family at John's funeral in broad daylight, and like other family members could have been killed off, he could have been killed off, everybody was there, you know, they're just sitting ducks basically, and he did that just to draw out his enemies, and he made sure his enemies knew exactly where he was and exactly what time he'd be there, and he just sets a trap for them, and a few of them fall for it, and he ends up killing them, and Mr. Gold and this protection that he's hired ends up, you know, saving them. But still, like, they were seconds away. Like, what if that hadn't happened? Like, I feel like all these risks Tommy keeps taking, like, John just died. You're literally burying your brother, and then you're putting the rest of your family on the line as well, just to draw out possible enemies. Like, no one could have showed up. They might have seen it was a trap, and he would have created this risk for nothing. The extent Tommy will go to for his own self-preservation just ceases to amaze me, because it just seems limitless. He just continues to do things over and over and over that put everybody at risk, and he thinks, you know, it'll all pay out, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. At what point does the risk outweigh the reward, you know? And even with him and Arthur getting back into this boxing thing to make money, it's like, well, when is it enough? This feels like you're just going to invite more trouble in. And the same thing with him cutting wages at the factory. He's just asking for trouble, and he knows that he's doing that, but he does it anyway. I don't know if he's like weirdly addicted to drama and chaos and doesn't know what to do when it's peaceful, and just needs to be surrounded by some sort of storm of trouble that he's created for himself. Even when we see Tommy meet with the union worker again, she's like, well, why did you cut wages? And he's calling her bluff, basically saying, like, you said you were going to strike, so go for it, and you said you were going to have everyone in my factories out on the streets, so go ahead. And maybe he thought she was bluffing, and then we find out she was definitely not. As the factory's empty, everybody's like, strike, okay, cool, I make pennies basically, and I'm out. Everybody knows these conditions suck. They know they're being paid poorly, but they have no choice. Like Tommy said, he's like, well, what are they gonna do? Like, he can just bring in more people. And it's interesting to kind of see that industrial revolution happening in the background, and I love history, so I'm glad they're working that in, and trying to fight for workers' rights, and even like the Bolsheviks and how they play into it. And yeah, so I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen with that. And even Tommy standing in, you know, that empty warehouse and having meetings things and just being like, yeah, bring him in, everything's fine. Like, he doesn't seem concerned at all that everything is shut down and his workers just completely walked out, whether he feels like he can replace them all or he'll get them back out. And it also feels extra cruel for him to cut the wage, and considering he knows what it's like to have less than and to be struggling financially all the time. And he's like, you know what, like, I grew up barefoot and like it made me tough, and now he's forcing other people to live that life when he has the ability to pay them a decent wage and to, you know, make their quality of life a little bit easier and not make them work 17 hours a day. Like, I know there were lots of factors in the background working at this time. I think it just speaks a lot to his character when he has this position of power and he has the position to help people and to help people in his own community, to help people who struggling, you know, to pay the bills and who are working so hard and, you know, doing everything they can to feed their families. We also learned that Tommy's mom was involved with seances, and I believe he mentioned something like that in very early on in season 1 with him and Polly talking in a church. But yeah, he doesn't talk about his mom a lot, and we've met his dad who passed away in the last season, but it's definitely interesting just to have that little bit of insight into her character. They definitely saved like the clincher for the episode at the end. Like, they definitely, you know, keep you watching to the very last second of the show. And that scene between Luca and Tommy, it felt like just watching a very intense strategic match between the two of them, and the fact that Luca was in there, you know, and emptied Tommy's gun, and Tommy doesn't know that, obviously, and I think Tommy thinks he's the top of his game and that nobody can beat him. And it was, I feel like, maybe a bit of a humbling moment when he sees Luca, and Luca comes in and just is already steps ahead of him, and I don't think Tommy's used to that. Even with Campbell, I feel like they were pretty evenly matched, and I feel like Luca might be a bit above him, so I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. They've agreed to have this fight, this showdown with no police, and I don't know if that'll be the next episode or if they'll plan something for later on in the season, but Adrien Brody just knocked this role out of the park. Like, his performance was amazing. Like I said, I haven't seen The Godfather, but he definitely gave me Godfather vibes. Like, I've seen still images from the film, and just that shot of him sitting at the table, that's the first thing that came to mind. And, you know, even the way he talks and his accent and like the way he pronounces his words, it was just, he was fully in that character. I fully believed him as that role, just so well done. And it was a very dialogue heavy scene, but I felt like I was like the edge of my seat the whole time, just like waiting on bated breath basically for every word, because it was just, it's not often Tommy is put in his place, and especially by somebody who's threatening to kill him and puts out these bullets, you know, on the table one by one, and then he gets to John's name and he's like, oh, I already spent that one, and knocks it down. It's just, oh god, my heart. And you just see it rolling across the table, and I could feel like Tommy's blood was boiling at that point, but he definitely keeps everything composed and doesn't show his emotions very often. And he's like, I'm gonna kill you last. He's like, we have our rituals too. And he's like, my mom said that would do the most damage to you, was to basically you watch your entire family die and you're the only one left standing, and then I'll kill you. Tommy's not new to death threats, obviously, but this didn't seem like a threat. This seemed like a promise. This seemed like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take out Ada, I'm gonna take out Arthur, I'm gonna take out Polly, Michael, and then you. When Luca comes in saying he's this dealer from Paris, and he's like, well, you know, I may be from Paris, but, you know, it doesn't mean I'm French, basically. And he's talking about his Italian-made suit, and then he insults what Tommy's wearing. It was just so strategic, and it just felt so calculated, like he's been thinking about this probably for a year since his dad was killed. It just felt like watching like a piece of art come to life. Like, his performance was amazing, and this whole show is so well written, so well done, and I'm just very nervous and curious to see what the next episode's going to be about. I'm really enjoying Luca's character. I think it's going to be a lot of trouble for the Shelby family, but I'm glad they don't set Tommy up with easy opponents. Like, I'm glad they set him up with something that keeps you guessing and, you know, wondering what's going to happen next, who's going to make the move. Tommy is also very clever, so yeah, it's going to be a very interesting match for sure. Overall, another great episode. The show is never disappointed. Unfortunately, we found out John did pass away. Sounds like Michael's going to be all right. Tommy and Luca met, and like I said, that scene is probably one of my favorites from the series so far. just so well done, and just Adrien Brody, just incredibly talented, and I'm very curious to see where this is gonna go. We found out that May was back briefly. Tommy and Arthur are getting back into boxing. Polly wants to move to Australia, which is where her daughter was and where her daughter passed away. Hard to get hopeful for characters because it usually doesn't work out, so I really hope Polly can be happy at some point, but yeah, we will see. But thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for TV shows you think I should watch, please comment below. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. I would also trust Curly, for the record. Yeah, he set it up. He told the Italians, hey, we're gonna be having this funeral. He wants to go to Australia. Is he gonna risk his daughter's virtue for a shop at the docks? He wants to become a boxer. It's always good to be punctual, you know, even for revolutions. And took out the bullets. Oh, that's why he wanted the rope and the bell.